There is no way that I would ever have received the same platform at which to present this information, as I know that the internal workings of government will always be to protect self first, followed by the people. So I am using what resources I have at my disposal to make this plea to the United Nations and the International Court of Justice. Please see below some of the actions of the Commonwealth Government of Australia that lead me to believe and to know that the actions of the Commonwealth Government of Australia is a deliberate attack on the lives, rights, economies, families, communities, and fundamental freedoms of Aboriginal people. 1. A Commonwealth public servant approached plan managers, specifically Peak Plan Management and Thrive Plan Management, and intercepted invoices and authorised less than the full amount of the invoices submitted for payment of services that we had already delivered. Number 2, a Commonwealth public servant approached the Office of Public Guardian and accused my company of fraud and raised the alarm around the provision of multiple services when the client previously had none. The OPG, the Office of Public Guardian, and the National Disability Insurance Scheme are both directly responsible for at least one client who, in the midst of despair and mental instability, was forced to wait months to get respite, even after being requested multiple times by the person, their family, their community, health services, and other stakeholders/interested parties. This was a result of direct intervention by a Commonwealth public servant. The National Disability Insurance Agency and the Office of Public Guardian are also responsible for placing multiple Aboriginal people under the guardianship of the government of the day, despite families being located to advise that they were willing to step in and support our own people, as is our right. This is an instant return to the days of the Aboriginals' protection and restriction of the Sale of Opium Act 1897, Queensland, and the forced assimilation of Aboriginal people. Number 4, forced assimilation and modern slavery of Aboriginal people by ensuring that the operation of the National Disability Insurance Scheme is culturally unsafe, uninformed, and illegal. 5, no supports were ever afforded to ensure sustainable practices for support coordinators and other providers of disability support services. 6, stealing therapies and supports or services from Aboriginal children with disabilities that could result in further risk to the child, their family, and their communities. 7, stealing therapies and supports or services from Aboriginal adults with disabilities that could result in further risk to the adult, their family, and their communities. 8, a Commonwealth public servant has given, on multiple occasions, incorrect information to my staff around the pricing arrangements for short-term accommodation and respite, causing us to rework and, in turn, my company having to pay for exaggerated out-of-pocket expenses to continuously resolve unending errors made by the Australian government. 9, discrimination against my company as an unregistered provider and a Commonwealth public servant putting up roadblocks to providing support to people in very remote communities. 10, a Commonwealth public servant has purposefully sabotaged every effort that my company has made to support our people with disabilities in the best way that we know how, our way. The government repeatedly refused access to our services to new and potential clients by reducing their disability support plan funding to as little as 1 hour per day of supports, whilst knowing and promoting their thin market strategies. 11, I have been witnessing this act of terrorism against my staff and for compromising their ability to participate effectively in the care economy, for compromising their mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, and cultural and financial integrity. 12, a Commonwealth public servant approached and coached Apuna Pima Cape York Health Services and defamed my company, which resulted in Apuna Pima staff accusing a former employee of forging the signature of a client. That employee did not even exist in this company when that document was signed by the client in front of 3 witnesses. This association of Apunapima and the National Disability Insurance Agency also resulted in my company not being allowed to access client confidential medical data, even with and in the presence of the client, to assist them to know what their disability is, to help them to understand how the scheme would assist them and implement their plan, i.e., funding for services and supports. The medical information requested would be reviewed and reported to the occupational therapist to ensure appropriate access to therapies that could not be or made it very difficult to be identified without this information. 13, for using local Aboriginal services to assist you in the defamation of their own people. 14, I hereby charge the Commonwealth of Australia with compromising the mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, financial, and cultural integrity of my company as a whole, past, present, and future. 15, incorrect training provided to departmental staff by the senior Commonwealth public servant. I had to teach government employees their own internal processes and documents as evidenced by the emails sent when first delivering services in Cape York and subsequent communications of the same nature. The National Disability Insurance Agency has accused my company of non-compliance. However, they deliberately withheld reports that they are required to complete for us to effectively complete the roles and tasks of support coordination in very remote communities. 16, supporting multiple clients with complex situations simultaneously and only providing the client and ultimately our company with enough funding for level 2 support coordination when level 3 coordination of supports should have been identified, supported, and funded. 17, attempting to infiltrate the community to talk to clients of creative consulting about the services delivered that show that the Commonwealth public servant had no interest in nor knowledge of the past atrocities committed against Aboriginal people, with particular reference to previous public policies that have affected Aboriginal people for generations. Stolen generation, welfare reform, child safety, alcohol management plans, and other relevant cultural information that would have informed that public servant's job and in turn, culturally safe and appropriate service delivery to Aboriginal people.